Okay. So, thanks for being here. We're going to go through a series of poses today. We'll add a couple of new ones, and we're going to begin by warming up on the floor in hands and knees. If you need a bolster to sit on or a pad for your knees, go ahead and have that nearby or grab that. Good, Marsha. Okay. Okay. So let's come on to hands and knees to start with. And we'll just do a little bit of a warm up here. You can have your feet relaxed to begin with. Hands pointed forward. And we'll just begin with a little bit of cat-cow, rounding the back up towards the ceiling. And then dropping it down, letting the belly and the chest sag towards the floor. And rounding up. And as you round up, push through the hands and also try actively tucking your tailbone. And then dropping down again. You know what? I'm going to stop you there because I wanted us to do a little pre and post mobility test. So while you're here, just take one arm and reach it up towards the ceiling and see how far you can twist. Maybe notice the angle that your arm gets to or how far you can turn your head and look towards the ceiling. I'm pretty tight this morning. And then same thing, try it the other way. Good. So we're looking at thoracic rotation there. And since we're already on the ground, just flip over so that you're in long sitting. And as long as you feel comfortable, like this won't aggravate something on the back of your thighs, just try a forward bend. Try reaching forward to touch your toes. And just notice how that feels through your back of the legs, and how far you're able to reach. And then we will check that again at the end of the session. Okay, back to cat-cow. So we're rounding up, tucking the tailbone, pushing through the arms. You can let your head sag too if you want. And then reversing that, letting the chest drop between the shoulder blades, letting the middle of your body drop down. That's often the stiff part. And letting the tailbone tip up towards the ceiling. Now this time when you round up, I want you to try pushing with your hands and rocking back just a little bit. And then pulling with your hands and coming forward. Go ahead and tuck your toes under now. And try that again. So we're rounded up and you're going to push back. You're kind of stretching out the bottom of those feet and the low back there. And then with your hands, pull yourself actively forward back to the middle. Now I want you to drop down into the cow, I think it is. Same thing. So now everything's dropped down. You're in that more arched position. You're going to drop back. Notice how you feel maybe a little bit of the apex of that curve down, moving up your spine more into the mid-back. And pull yourself forward. Notice how the stretch moves further down the spine, and you may get more pulling into the belly. Just rock back and forth there just a little bit. This is a great one if you have any abdominal scars. Good. Now let's stop in the middle, and we're going to do something called the peanut butter jar. So let's leave your toes tucked if you can. You're going to go up into the cat, And then I want you to imagine your back is kind of like the knife in the peanut butter jar. You're trying to get the last bit of the peanut butter out of the jar. So hands and knees are going to stay stationary, and you're going to kind of wind around like your trunk, belly, and spine are getting all of the peanut butter off the edge of the jar. And then try reversing that. Good. That one feels really good. All right, let's come up, just do a couple of wrist circles. Since we were there for a minute. And then we're going to come back into that position, into a version of Gaia. And try our first breath work in apnea here. So we did some warming up around the rib cage and that side body. And now in this position, think about growing long through the crown of your head and your tailbone. Give just a little bit of an active push through your hands into the mat and kind of apart. And then let's focus. We're going to do 3 breaths in. On the last one, we'll do the apnea. And we're focusing on really feeling the breath come into the side of the ribs and the back of the ribs. We'll go breathing in for 4 and out for 5. Breathing in. And out. Breathing in. And I want you to try slowly breathing in so that you're taking the same amount of air in through those 4 seconds. And then slowly allowing the air come out for 5. And then last breath here, breathing in. Exhaling. At the bottom, hold your breath. Open the ribs. Keep opening them, feeling the belly draw up towards your spine, into your ribcage, growing along through the waist. And breathe in and exhale. Very good. Now, bring your palms so that the edge of the palm is at the edge of your mat and fingertips are pointing towards each other. Your hands are still under your shoulders here. Toes are tucked. Give a little bit of a push through those heels, just to feel like you could lift your knees up, but you're not. Pushing actively through the arms down into the mat and sliding away. And then your head is coming straight off of your body. You feel like there's something pulling the crown of your head and your tailbone away from each other. And then in this position, you're going to breathe in. And out. Breathing in. And out. This is a very active position for your shoulders, really good for upper body and neck posture. Last breath in. Exhale. Hold your breath. Lift for the apnea. Breathe in and exhale. Good. We're going to do one more position on our knees here. If you feel like you have something left in the tank in the shoulders, then stay here with me. You need a little bit of a change of position or a break for your wrists or your shoulders. Come down onto your elbows here for Maya. If you're okay, stay here. So I'm going to talk us through an advanced position for Gaia. If you're in Maya, just stay on your elbows and do the 3 breath sequence. So here we're going to breathe in, exhale, again breathing in, really expanding those ribs, opening the chest, 360. Exhaling, growing long, continue to push in all directions. Last breath in. Exhale. Prepare the apnea. Create the abdominal vacuum. Lift the ribs. As you're holding that, press through the feet and arms. Lift your bottom up towards the ceiling. Take a breath in. Good. Now slowly lower back down. Very good. Okay, let's come up into kneeling and then half kneeling. So you can walk your hands back towards your knees. Coming up into a kneeling position. And we're going to go into asymmetrical aura. So we did aura last time, which is here in kneeling. In asymmetric aura, we're going to take one knee up. Now, what might help you or what you might need is a bolster or a towel roll for the knee that's down. It can make it a little more comfortable for your knee, and it can make it a little bit easier to keep your hips squared up. So play around with that a little bit. This is just a little bit high, the one that I have. Let's try something in between. Good. Okay, so in this position, back toe is tucked, knee is forward. We want as much as we can to square up the hips. This may not be perfect because we have different length tibia and femur, but we're trying to square them up. And then this stance leg should be, the bottom should be squeezing and pressing forward. And feet are coming straight off of your hips. So front view, let's do side view this way. So we want that hip pressed forward, probably a little bit of a stretch on the front of the thigh, toes tucked. And then here, I want you to begin in middle Athena. So palms are shoulder width apart, pressing wide like you're inside a hula hoop or barrel, and you're keeping that open. Okay? And then 3 breaths in on the apnea. Stay tuned for a little instruction about your arms. So breathing in. Exhale. So we're growing tall on that exhale. On the breath in, slowly expanding. You may feel some increased stretching up this side of the leg that's down and through the front of the hip. And exhale. Breathing in last time. Exhale. Getting ready, prepare the apnea. Hold your breath. Lift the ribs. Feel that stretch come through the front of the hip. Take the arm on the side that is down up towards the ceiling, and the other arm towards the thigh. Breathe in. Exhale. Good. So bottom leg, arm is in high Athena. The leg that's up, the arm is connected to the thigh. Stay here. Let's do one more breath cycle here. So our arms are pushing away from each other, connected with that thigh. And we're getting a lot of length through here. So breathing in. And exhale. We'll do one more breath here, breathing in. Exhale. At the bottom here. Hold your breath. Create the vacuum. Keep lifting, keep squeezing that bottom forward. Take a breath. And bring that top arm down, give it a break. Very good. Okay, bring your, whichever leg was up, bring that back. And we're going to switch. So opposite knee is on the bolster, toes are tucked, the other leg is coming forward. All right, check in with your hips, stack that kneeling leg, squeeze the bottom so you get as much of a straight line up and down as you can. And then the other hip, square it up. So if you had headlights, they would both be pointing forward, that you wouldn't be open like this. Square it up. Arms in mid Athena. On the apnea, I'll give you the same instruction. It'll be the down leg arm comes up for more length and stretching through the fascial system there. The other arm comes down and connects to the thigh. And that pressing will help you keep the ribcage up out of the pelvis. So mid Athena, breathing in. And exhale. And in. Exhale. Last breath. Exhale. Getting ready, prepare the apnea. Close the glottis. Lift the ribs, create the vacuum. Take that arm up and the opposite arm down to connect with your leg. Breathing in. Stay here. Exhale. Think about those arms pushing in opposite directions. Breathing in. Exhale. One more breath here. Breathing in. Exhale. Good. Clear the apnea. Lift the ribs. Create the vacuum. Keep pulling. Feel that pull come through the down leg side. Take a breath. Bring that arm down. And your other leg down. Very good. Okay, from kneeling, we're going to get back up into standing. So half kneeling can be a nice way to do that. Pushing up on the front leg. And we'll move into Venus and Athena. So let's just check in with our feet. Feet are hip distance apart, not shoulder distance. So a little bit narrower stance here. And just bring your toes up towards the ceiling and see if you can put them down one at a time. So pinky, all the piggies. Last one to come down is big toe. So we really spread the toes wide. Soften your knees. So not locked, not really bent, just a little soft bend in them. And then in standing, this is where we really get to check in with our standing posture in the position of our pelvis and our trunk. So for a lot of us, we tend to have tightness in the front, tightness in the low back, and we need to kind of think about dropping our tail feathers and bringing that pelvis into a slightly more neutral position. It doesn't need to be tucked, just a little more neutral and stacked up here. Then come on top, check in with your rib cage. So we don't want the bell of our rib cage tipped forward like this, and we also don't want it tucked back there. So stacked on top and level. You can draw a line through those two. Then let's come up to the arms. Let's come up to the head. Crown of the head, just put your hand on the back of your occiput and give a little kind of press and lengthening. Like you have a string, but it's back here at the back of your head, and that's lengthening you and making your head taller and stacking it right on top, getting us out of this forward head position. So everything is literally growing taller and getting more space through there. Very good. And then bring your arms palm forward, and let's just warm up the arms a little bit more. So we're going to breathe in and take the arms up to mid-Venus. Good. Exhale and bring them down. Good. Breathing in. Let's take them all the way up to high Venus. You don't have to have them open wide. They can be forward just a little bit to take some of the pressure off the shoulder and down through the arms. Exhaling and bringing them down. Good. Breathing in. Raising them up. Exhaling. Let's stop with them in mid-Venus. Think about reaching those shoulder blades wide, like you're scooping them out away from you towards the side of the room. And then shift your weight forward just a bit so you have a little more pressure through the heel, through the ball of the foot. Shift back to the heel. And then come forward just a bit at the ankle, pressure through the ball of the foot. And then we're breathing in here for 3. Breathing in. And exhale. Hi, Ruth. I'm sorry. I hope you weren't waiting here too long. And breathing in. And exhale. Last breath in. Exhale. Hold your breath. Air the vacuum. Lift the ribs. Keep lifting if you can. Take a breath as you need to. Exhale. Very good. Bring the palms forward. Shoulder width apart. Pushing out. Let's come down to low Athena. Give those shoulders a little bit of a break. Good. Give me a side view if you can. We check in again. Knees soft. Pelvis neutral, trunk stacked on top, lengthening through the back of the head, creating that circle with our arms, palms down low, pointing towards the ground, And let's check in with that slight anterior lean. This comes from the ankles. So we're not changing the hip angle here. We're just leaning forward a little bit. And then I want you to practice shifting your weight back and then forward one more time. What this does is it activates the back of our body and it decreases some of the pressure into the abdomen so we can get a better lift and stretch through that rib cage. Let's do our 3 breaths here. Breathing in. And exhale. As you exhale, you're thinking about growing taller. You're checking in with your whole spine from your head to your toes. Breathing in. Exhale. Continue swooping those shoulder blades wide. Last breath. Exhaling slowly, letting the air come out. Getting ready for that apnea. Last bit of air out. Hold your breath. Lift the wrist. Breathing in. Exhale. Very good. Okay, we're moving into a new position. This is called Freya. This is a challenging one to me. You can adjust how difficult this is by adjusting how far back you take your leg. So we're going into a little bit of a kind of a lunge position. So take one leg, let's say the right leg, slide it like it's on a rail, slide it right back behind you and allow the heel to come down to the mat. So ankle tightness may limit how far back you can get this leg to go because we want it straight. And also your hips are going to stay square. So unlike some yoga positions where you might open up here, we're keeping our hips square, gliding that foot back, allowing the heel to come down, and the front knee will bend slightly, okay? So we're here. Toe stays pointed forward, and the line of our trunk and pelvis is coming off of this back leg. Okay, let's try this with kind of a low, let's actually try a mid-Athena arm here. Okay, your gaze for your head is going to be down kind of where the wall meets the floor. That will help keep your head coming off of this one long line. Okay, and let's do breathing in here. And exhale. Breathing in. And exhale. Last breath in, opening those ribs. As you exhale, keep that line long from the back heel all the way to the front of the head. Pelvis is neutral, hip is active. Hold your breath here. Lift the ribs. Keep pulling, keep lifting that rib. Keep the hips pointed forward, even as you stretch through that front line of that back hip. Take a breath in and exhale. Very good. Bring that back leg, slide it back forward. Open the palms forward into low Venus. Now take the opposite leg, left leg, whichever one you didn't do. back slides right back behind you. Allow that heel to stretch down. Okay, check in with your hips. Don't let the hips rotate back towards that back leg. Keep them forward. Tuck the tailbone into that neutral position, not overly tucked, but nice and straight. So we have a long line coming off of that back leg through the front of the body, toes pointed forward. You can see this is a challenge for me with my tight ankle. Arms down in low Venus, lengthening through the back of the neck, gazing at that spot where the wall meets the floor. And breathing in. And exhale. Breathing in. And exhale. Last breath in. Exhale. Growing tall. Keeping that space between the ribcage and the pelvis. Now prepare the apnea, hold your breath, and lift the ribs. And breathe in and exhale. Very good. Bring that back leg forward. Relax the arms. Good. Now we're going to move into Hera. So we've done Venus, we've done Athena, and we did Artemis. So I want you to come into this kind of Athena position here. And Hera, with Hera, what we're going to do is we're going to start rounding down. But the way that I want you to do this is the head, the crown of the head, is going to lead this. So you'll think about keeping space between the chin and the chest, almost like you have an orange or your fist there. And you're going to start diving, kind of rounding the head down. The waist does not start the movement. So we're rounding here. And we'll keep rounding, trying to get each level to come forward without collapsing through here. So we're going to keep the space between the rib cage and the pelvis as we come forward. We'll stop in the middle, do a breath cycle there, and then we'll head down towards the floor. Okay? All right, so let's begin here in Athena. Okay, so take a deep breath in. If you need help keeping that space, you can use your fist there. That can be helpful because what happens is we get tight in our neck and we start only moving in one segment. So we're really trying to get into lengthening through the back and getting each vertebrae to move as best as we can, while we maintain this open diaphragm position and keeping the pressure out of the belly, creating space for the folding. Okay, so breathing in here. And we're going to start to round on the exhale. So you're exhaling and you're allowing the hands to come into contact with the thighs. And you're reaching the top of the head towards the floor with length. Stop. Take a deep breath. Good. Check in with the space between the rib cage and the pelvis. And then as you exhale, keep curling and curving down, allowing that head to lengthen down towards the floor. You should probably be gazing somewhere through your thighs now with your hands on your mid-thigh. And then I want you to breathe in here. Good. Check in with that space between the ribcage and the pelvis. Exhale. Come down just a little lower. Thighs are still above the knee. Let's do one more breath here, and then we're going to do an apnea here. So breathing in. Really feel that breath go into the back body. Exhale, pressing through the hands, through the thighs, shoulders away from the ears. Hold your breath. Lift the ribs. Keep opening, pulling open, creating more space. Exhale. Good. Now, you're going to allow your hands to come forward. And you can either continue forward if you have the flexibility, bend your knees, and let your hands come into contact with the floor, and slowly come down to your knees. Good. Good. That's a challenging one. You made it, Marsha? Very good. Very good. Okay, so we're down on the floor. Cross your heels, or you can take your heels off to the side. And we're going to come back so that we're kind of sitting on our bottom. And we're going to do a little bit of a hip mobility kind of warm up here. I mean, not warm up, but a little more mobility and stretching. So you could do this. Your legs are going to be out in front of you, sitting on the ground, or take your bolster just to give you a little more space in your hips. Okay. And then with your feet wider than your hips here, I'm just going to allow you to the knees to fall off to one side. Good. And you can lean back if you want to for a little bit of support. And then just let them fall over to the other side. Get a little break from our flow. Good. Okay. Now cross the legs. And just plant one arm down on the floor. Take the other arm, meet it, and then open up here. Good. Now keep that arm up, push through the bottom arm. So you're kind of propping everything up. And then this top arm is going to arc over as you keep that pressure through the bottom arm. So you're pushing and you're really feeling this. Try not to rotate out of the plane. See if you can really keep that bottom hip down. And feel the side of your body open up. Try breathing into that. Good. That's a fascial line that gets very tight on a lot of us. Feels good to work through that a little bit. Very good. Let's switch sides. So planting the other arm. And just kind of doing our book openers here. Opening and closing. Getting a little rotation. You're keeping this hip down. Good. Then really actively push through that bottom arm. Keep the opposite hip down. Start to take the top arm up and over. Don't let any pinching. Adjust your shoulder if you're getting pinching. See if you can breathe into those ribs as they're stretching. And you can do even just a little bit of a twist there. Good. Okay. Whew, that one feels really good. Okay, let's move into Hestia. I'm going to give you the option. You can do the cross-legged version here, or you can do legs out in front here, whichever one you feel like feels better. I'm going to keep my legs crossed. One of the challenges with Hestia is not allowing ourselves to dump back and collapse this space. So we're keeping the pelvis up, not arched forward, but straight up. Toes and feet are active. So you're dorsiflexing your feet and you almost have a feeling like the legs are trying to pull apart against each other. Let's start with low Athena here. And this connection between the arms and the thighs, a little push, keeping the shoulder blades wide, will help you create that space and still be able to get an abdominal vacuum, even though we're closing down this abdomen a little bit here. So let's do our breath cycle here, breathing in. Exhale. As you exhale, I want you to imagine that you're letting the air go from the bottom up. And then breathing in. Exhaling, so you're keeping all of that space even as you exhale. Last breath in. Exhale. Hold your breath. Prepare the apnea, lift the ribs for the vacuum. Breathing in, exhaling. Very good. Let's uncross our legs. Take the knees off, down to one side. You can take the bolster out from under you. Okay. And from here, we're going to take this arm that's propped and slowly lower ourselves down to the ground. Good. And then roll back onto our back. Before we get into Demeter, let's just take a minute here and hook line. So feet are flat on the floor, knees are bent. Coming to the area of your lower abdomen and belly, and imagine there's a clock there. 12 at the top, 6 at the bottom, 3 and 9 are on the sides. And let's just tuck up to 12 and then rock down to 6. We're just moving that low back a little bit. When we do the clock, we're getting some mobility through the low back and pelvis. We're getting some neuromuscular control and mapping of all the muscles that coordinate this area. It usually helps kind of loosen us up so that we have more of our body in contact with the floor when we do these floor positions. And just try side to side. You can make your clock as small or as large as feels comfortable. If you're feeling a little pinchy, then make the clock smaller. And then if you're feeling a little crazy, we can try diagonals. Opposite diagonal. If that hurts your brain, just can work on it another time. Very good. Okay, coming down into Demeter, we're going to slide each heel out. So we have a slight bend in our knee, maybe 45 degrees. Remember, feet are hip distance apart. Toes and feet are dorsiflex. So your feet are pulling up towards you, and you're giving a little push through the heels. So they're not going anywhere, but you have some active pushing away from you through the feet. Come up to your pelvis, check in with that position. Neutral pelvis, so not arched and not totally tucked, somewhere in the middle. Okay, then come up to your head, take your hands behind the back of your head and just kind of give it a little tug towards the wall behind you. Or stretch the back of that neck out and then relax it down there. And then let's bring our arms out into low to mid Venus, depending on how you're feeling here through your chest, how much stretch you have. And then we're going to breathe in here. And exhale. This is a really nice place with the support from the floor to lengthen, thinking about growing tall on the exhale. Breathing in. And exhale. Last breath in. Hold your leg. Lift the ribs. Breath. And exhale. Very good. One more pose here. It's the new one, Aphrodite. Goddess of love. You'll see why it was named that. You're going to bring your heels closer to your bottom. Okay, so we have a lot more bend in the knee here. And then I want you to take your feet slightly wider than your hips. Okay, very good. Palms are still up in low Venus. Toes are still pulled up. So we're going to breathe in here. Exhale, and on the exhale, I want you to press through your heels, pressing with your bottom, pressing your hips up towards the ceiling, keeping that length and space between the pelvis and the rib cage. And then breathe in and come back down. And exhale here. Good. That was a little tricky breathing. Let's try that again. This time we're going to stay up high. So we're breathing in. On the exhale, press through the heels, raising the bottom, squeezing your bottom, keeping that length in the spine. At the top, stay here. Breathe in. Good. Exhale. Prepare the apnea. Hold your breath. Lift the ribs. Breathing in and lowering back down. Ooh, really nice. Let's give ourselves a little Great. Cross that leg if you want to and bring it towards your chest, just to give the back of the hip a little stretch after all that work. Switch. Bring it in. Very good. Let's check. Let's rest here. We've made it through the flow. We're just going to do one quiet minute of breathing, and then we're going to recheck our mobility pretest. Okay? So you can stay with legs bent. You can allow the legs to come back down. Maybe just notice your body on the floor. Notice the parts of your body that are pressing into the floor. The areas where you feel tension, see if you can let those areas melt and start to sink into the floor themselves. Breathe quietly here, focus on your breath. And coming back, opening your eyes. Let's roll onto our side. Pressing back up to sitting. Come into this long sitting position that we checked before. So legs are out in front of you, sitting up tall, and just reach forward for your toes. Check in with how that feels compared to where you started. How you feel through your back, your legs, how far you can reach. You can definitely reach quite a bit further. And then let's come on to hands and knees, the other position that we checked. In one arm and rotating up towards the ceiling, looking up. Oh, this is much better for me too. Checking the other side. Good. So checking in with some simple little mobility things like that can be really helpful. Because when we're doing exercises like this, sometimes changes take time, and you can be working on the low pressure fitness and feel a little bit like, I don't know, is it helping? What's it doing? But I always find that at the end, I have better flexibility and mobility through my fascial and nervous system. And over time, when you do that regularly, then you start to be able to maintain those changes. And that's what starts to change your posture over time in a way that you do not have to give as much attention and thought to, because then your body starts to actually change and just kind of live in a slightly different alignment. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording. Thanks so much.